Italy, a cultural paradise and one of the world's capitals of style. In this episode of Video Fashion Style, we explore the art of Italian fashion. Miuccia Prada is a force of fashion, setting trends season after season with her artful and sophisticated collections.
Mrs. Prada really understands the link between art and fashion, and she totally understands what a customer wants to wear.
Step into the Video Fashion archives to witness Tom Ford's revival of the House of Gucci. Plus, see how Karl Lagerfeld cemented Fendi's place as a fashion powerhouse. Dolce & Gabbana celebrates Sicily on their flamboyant runway, while Italian master Giorgio Armani updates his timeless classics.
He's, sort of reworking and reinventing the suit. That's what I think of him for.
Donatella Versace celebrates the legacy of her late brother with a star-studded tribute.
Donatella's always honored Johnny's work, season after season, but this year it was definitely a best of hits.
Plus, relive memorable runway moments from iconic Italian houses with unmistakable signature styles. From the classic to the contemporary, the iconic to the irreverent, find out what makes Italy a fashion capital on this episode of Video Fashion Style.
I mean, what I love about Prada is when we go to that showroom, you never know what world she's going to immerse us in. It's always like a fabulous, creative journey. So you get there, the anticipation's really heightened, and then the collection comes out, and it's like no other.
I think Prada was an incredible collection. I mean, full of brightness and energy. And it made me smile because Mrs. Prada really understands the link between art and fashion. And she totally understands what a customer wants to wear.
It's interesting at Prada, with everyone talking about minimalism and looking at the 1990s and the idea of something that's a little bit more architectural and a little bit more sculptural. She went over the top and hiring a group of muralists to create beautiful paintings inside of the salon, the gallery where she always shows, taking those images and recreating them on the fronts of dresses, on the fronts of tops, even onto coats, and many times onto the handbags. And all images of women, different artist rendition of women, very much in a portraiture sort of a way.
I think it was probably the best Prada show I've ever seen, and I've been going in person for seven or so years. It just felt like the work of a mad genius in a way. I think it was really brilliant to engage all of these muralists and artists and to have the echo, of the paintings on the wall and on the clothes. It's just the sign of a really brilliant woman to enlist other really brilliant people to do the work for you in a way. Also, on the other hand, sort of the apotheosis of this idea of street style, to have these faces on the clothes in a way. They'll be instantly recognizable as Prada. Super advertisements for the brand, certainly.
I mean, what I loved about it was the sort of very heavy, encrusted, almost boulder-sized jewels that sort of swept around the bodies. And the colour was just so enriched and vivid and pure. And then you had these little moments of fancy with the feather headdresses and the little feather wristbands. Adored it, adored it.
There were amazing fur treatments, tons of crystal work, and it was really interesting. When I did the receipt, they said that Mrs. Prada, each Swarovski crystal color was custom made for her. So those crystals are unique to the House of Prada, so it was amazing to be able to see and touch everything and to see the craftsmanship that really goes into her clothing.
She knows how to reinvent her label every single season. And I couldn't help but smile because I thought, oh, her customer's going to be so happy next season, because there is that vibrancy about that collection, that desirability, that feeling of what's new right now. But it also had a real understanding of her subtlety and her understanding of art, and how right now we're all feeling the importance of looking after yourself and not being shy about presenting yourself to the world. And I think she did it really well.
Versace was everything, and nobody loves a retro rewind more than I do, and I actually adore Donatella Versace.
Donatella has always honored Johnny's work, you know, season after season, but this year it was definitely a best of hits. The collection itself was all very much a retrospective of his greatest works, and I thought that she honored him in a beautiful way, as any sister should.
It's a reminder of how great a designer Gianni Versace was. People forget that because of his rather tragic death, or his very tragic death. But it reminded me, I'm so old that I used to do previews with Gianni Versace in the Ritz when he did shows in the above the swimming pool. And I remember seeing a lot of those clothes, and like at the time he kind of ripped up the rule book of couture. Couture was a thing for ladies who lunch, you know, rich princesses, but there wasn't really a scene. And I remember when Versace arrived, all of a sudden there were like 400 screaming teenagers outside the Ritz to see Prince and Madonna. And I remember like where did they all come from? It was really the beginning of a new era, and it began there. So to go back and see it was touching for me personally.
Going back into the archives and giving the ability to give a new life to a legging, to a catsuit, vintage prints that we had forgotten that we all loved and adored, and shoulders that are bigger than a door frame, I am all about it.
And I think just the richness of his fantasy in making those prints. And I thought Donatella used them very cleverly. Like everyone remarked that his famous Vogue cover print with Cindy Crawford, he made the dress and he put it on Kaya Gerben. I mean, all a very simple idea, but very clever, very effective.
Cindy's daughter was wearing the one that had her Vogue cover image all over it, which was so adorable, because I think that Cindy's one of the most amazing women in the world, and I think that her daughter on the runway is a really special moment. I loved seeing all of that color. I loved the enthusiasm of the show. I loved the energy of the show. It was a very emotional show for Donatella to put together, certainly as an ode to Gianni, who she certainly loved dearly and still does. We talked about it at the dinner later that night. But what a fantastic moment. And I can't wait for those clothes to get into the store, because everybody wants to wear Versace right now again.
The Versace show is a real moment of Milan Fashion Week. It was great to be able to see all those iconic looks come down the runway and tweaked and reinterpreted for today's customer. And a lot of people were saying, this is why I got into fashion. It was for moments like this, and it really was an epic moment.
When the curtain came up and all the supermodels were there, it was a mad dash, because it was the Instagram moment of a lifetime. Let me tell you, those girls look amazing. Naomi, Cindy, all of them, fantastic. Those girls have proven that getting older is getting better.
And what will happen next in the house, who knows? One suspects Donatella will take a little bit, step back a bit more, and they'll bring someone in. But I thought it was a brilliant statement.
When you mix charming with Armani, you get Charmani. So I think it was a little bit of an American amalgam of charming and Armani together, but charming in a very blue period. I think he was also maybe looking at Picasso, because the entire collection, really for the most part, in shades of blue and often with a base of navy. Interesting, and the oddity of a bloomer. You know, Mr. Armani loves to take the idea of his classic jacket, update it, and then give it an interesting bottom, and a lot of bloomers that were on the runway.
I kept on thinking underwater, at sea. You know, he's a Mediterranean designer, and it rubbed off a little bit on this collection with the very diaphanous, filmy fabrics. It felt not serious, you know, like a very sort of Armani in whimsical mode.
Great flat sandals and those funny little flat boots that were kind of a take on almost a gladiator and sometimes on more of a sturdier heel.
I like it when he's, you know, sort of reworking and reinventing the suit. That's what I think of him for. And he was coming off a very, very strong men's show in June. And so I liked the fact that he brought some of the men's looks onto the runway.
But I thought the collection really excelled with a lot of the evening wear. The idea of the beautiful shimmer and the shine. I mean, certainly the idea of reflective quality, be it lame, be it beads, be it paillettes on every runway, but really well executed in his hands. Interesting too, where it had a bit of a pajama sensibility to it, a real relaxed attitude for evenings, so very pretty for him.
By the end, he had some very beautiful, you know, silvery, sort of unstructured blazers and evening gowns, very signature and beautiful.
The House of Fendi looms large in the Italian fashion world. What started as Adele Fendi's Roman fur and leather boutique in 1925 has blossomed into an international powerhouse and has remained a family affair. In 1965, legendary designer Karl Lagerfeld took the helm. Widely considered to be the most prolific designer of the 20th and 21st centuries, Lagerfeld steered Fendi towards mega success through innovations in technique and, of course, fur.
Fur has to be treated like an extreme refined material, but not as just fur.
He does furs for Fendi. They happen to be the best furs in the world. He has all kinds of innovative approaches to it. It isn't just your mother's mink coat. It's really very exciting.
What you see here is Fendi's technique at its highest, with the most modern sensibility, color, workmanship, craftsmanship. It's just Karl Lagerfeld is his best.
He's always experimenting new approach, new trends, new fashion, new proportions. He never accepts what has been done one season. He wants to do something completely different.
Adele's granddaughter, Silvia Venturini, joined the company in 1992, seconding Lagerfeld in artistic direction. This third-generation Fendi was responsible for the boom in accessories, including the creation of the iconic baguette bag.
I think it's really the time that accessories are becoming a real part of our wardrobe, and they are treated as clothing.
With his artistic touch and casual approach to luxury, Karl Lagerfeld helped Fendi maintain its status for over 5 decades, until his unexpected passing in 2019. In October 2020, Kim Jones, the designer for Dior Men and former menswear designer at Louis Vuitton, was named artistic director. Today, Silvia Venturini Fendi is the only family member still working at the house. With Jones and Silvia Venturini at the helm, Fendi's legacy continues to move forward. For spring 2021, Domenico Dolce and Stefano Gabbana put on a colorful and exuberant show that celebrated handcrafted work. The collection was a parade of patchwork pieces. The design duo was inspired by the island of Sicily and the contrasts that make it unique. Each look was handcrafted by the label's skilled artisans. The outfits were paired with boots, heels, and sneakers, all interpreted in the collection's clashing combinations of materials. Iconic Dolce & Gabbana bags were updated for accessories that were just as bold as the garments. The collection was a rich and vibrant patchwork and was instantly recognizable as the work of Dolce & Gabbana.
This was a very important year because it marks my 20th anniversary as creative director. And when I realized that, I said, I was kind of impressed myself. The MISSONI label could be so relevant in the fashion world. I realized MISSONI is going to be 65 next year. This is even more relevant, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to do a nice party. Let's celebrate with a party. So this is a summer party in my garden. So I started working on those very light materials and to have those sheer, to have those fluid shapes and to have those lights in the clothes. The prints of the mask were an old print from MISSONI at the end of the 80s, but I thought it was perfect for the party. I would like to take it in many places, but there is so much. My first concern is always like to organization. And it was an old company 45 years ago, and now even a company of 5 years, it's old, right? So you need to keep up with the organization. And this is what I aim for MISSONI, and I want to have good structure because I'm not only a designer, I own this company together with my brother and my nephew and my mother. So this is my first point, really to take care of the company.
Tom Ford consistently made fashion history with his collections for the House of Gucci. Truly, the stuff fashion moments are made of.
My favorite Gucci moment, it had to be last season, didn't it? I mean, the shoulder pads, the black leather. One of my personal favorite were the trousers with the side slit.
I mean, I think of a stamped pony skin stiletto-heeled boot. I think of the sexiest evening dresses, the day-glow chubby.
To me, it's all about sex with Tom Ford at Gucci. I remember the collection that was mod with some of the chubby coats, but throughout it was really that edge of sexiness.
When he did the bathing suits and when the guy turned and it was just the thong coming out, I love that sort of as a moment. And a major, major woman's moment was with the white cutout, you know, and particularly when it turned around and it was also the belt as part of it.
I always love his evening stuff that he's able to do, sort of the geometries in the fluidity, to have the structure of something like the patent leather holding the dress, but at the same time have a real fluidity. When he comes out by himself at the end. I like that bit.
I try not to look back. If I looked back, I think I'd get hung up on, you know, something, and I try to look forward.
It's a show that in a way celebrates also next year, which we're celebrating 50 years of the brand. And actually it was founded in 1968, which was the year really of a lot of
revolution,
things.
counterculture, the hippie movement. So you should imagine our father dressed in a hippie way with paisley, putting patchouli and vetiver on. So it's really, we should enter that moment in time. And it's a moment where people were looking for peace and harmony. So this is also what this collection is about.
Collection has been mounted and constructed like a crescendo, so you have the whites at the beginning, and then slowly, like a little blank canvas of a painter, he starts like painting and coloring, and then became the acids, the spice color, at the end the psychedelics, colorful, vibrant colors. So it's all mounted really for an explosion of light and like
festivity. The light here, we didn't close anything. The beginning was all white, so an idea of white and light. And then you have the Ninth Symphony of Beethoven, which is an ode to joy and light. So nothing just thrown like that. They borrowed a lot from the ladies, so this was a great occasion, which usually is not, you know, they're not allowed, as if. So a lot of brooches, embroidery, which, you know, all these spille, all these like diamonds, which I love, you know, the core, you know, with a meaning, so to give light. And we enjoyed it. We just, you know, started sharing things and pieces on Sunday, mixing the collection, and it came like a river, just, you know, like light, easy.
next 50 years. Be free and enjoy life and be light and always keep smiling.
And love. A lot of love for everyone.
From its long history of artisanal craftsmanship to today's trend-setting designers, Italy is truly a world capital of style and an emblem of artistry in fashion.